My therapist told me the other day that I've got ADHD and a bit of autism.
Yeah,
I'm not bothered. Like, it doesn't bother me. Like for some people, I think it's part of.
So I used to take medication for ADHD when I was younger, but high dosage, and it's something like ADHD, dyslexic, and it's something where as I've gone into it's interesting because when I was growing up, school I struggled, even just down to focusing. Like I used to have to sit in a separate room that would allow me to listen to my own music and everything,
right?
Just to be able to like lock in on what I was doing. And I used to always say I'd never have a desk job because I struggled to focus.
That's interesting. Why do you think that was in school? Do you think because they tried to put you in a box that you wasn't in?
I think if I go deep into it.
Let's go deep into it.
Background-wise, so growing up I went through a lot. So I think I was reading something previously about when you're between the ages of, I think, 3 and 6 is when your brain's like really developing. And in between those periods of time, like I lost my dad. So to suicide and so on. So there was a lot of things I had to go through at a very young age, which at that point in your life is quite a crucial moment. And I feel like over time, I think everything just impacted me quite a lot. And I was very much a hands-on type of person, very creative and so on. So then just kind of being confined to one seat, one set task and just focus on that for the next hour. I don't know what it was, but it used to drive me nuts. But now I'm sat at a desk all day, every day. And it drives me
But
nuts.
you found something you enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Or whether it's the outcome that you enjoy.
I do enjoy it, but I think I'm at a point now where I'm navigating the next steps. I think with the way we built the business, for me it was all about navigating how do we get into the industry without having the resources, the network, the capital. We literally starting with absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So the way we started was kind of the best way for us to get started. And now it's a case of navigating that change to where we can do the stuff I want to do, if that makes sense. So for example, coming from a fashion background, I was making clothes.
Is that where you came from, fashion background?
Yeah. So I grew up making clothes literally my whole childhood.
I used to work for Boohoo.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
14 years I worked for.
No way. What was you doing at Boohoo?
I started as a labourer, and then by the time I left, I was working in logistics. So my role was basically like finding efficiencies in the operations. So so we moved on to a new system, for example, and you might have like 4 scans to pick an item, let's say. And you had like a wrist scanner, like a finger, finger thing.
Yeah.
You'd go to a location, you'd scan the location, you'd scan the item, you'd scan the bin that you're putting it in, you'd scan the trolley, so forth, right?
Yeah,
my role was to look at that process and go, how can we make 4 scans, 3 scans, 2 scans? Yeah. Because that's saving 25% of the pick process and you're picking hundreds of thousands of items a day.
Makes a massive difference.
Yeah. So that was my role. So I wasn't, that's probably why you look so dapper today and I don't. I couldn't pull off that. I couldn't pull off those flares.
You definitely could.
We'll have to get a long shot on camera later.
You have to, man. Listen, see me. My family always say, where are you flying off to today? With parachutes on your legs, but I love it. But,
well, we'll take that opportunity then to intro you and your business then.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Shyheim Prince, full name Shyheim, but everyone calls me Shy. Founder of High Living Estates, which we are a property investment agency based out of the Midlands. And we're working our way up to global domination.
Nice. So you said that there, because I followed you from, you started probably around the same time as me during COVID.
No, it was a little bit later. So we started 2022, March 2022.
Yeah, I think it's a similar time. I started during COVID, starting my learnings and stuff.
After,
And then I think I started to follow you at a similar time. So I've kind of seen kind of what you and Charlotte have been doing. It's great. I love the branding as well.
That was one of the first things I did.
Yeah. Good branding.
Branding was important, very important.
So you mentioned earlier that you wanted to get in this kind of low barrier to entry to then build up. Do you own any of your own properties at the moment?
At the moment, no, and it drives me nuts. It's one of those things where, for me, the growth of the business was always the main thing I focused on. Looking back now, I think I wish I did things a little bit differently. And for me, it was always about if we continue to deliver incredible value to our client base, that's going to allow us to grow more aggressively later on down the line. But then I look back and there's so much opportunities that we've passed up on. And I think we should have kept that. We should have done a JV or whatever the case would be. So now we're raising private finance to take on a few of the projects that come up through the business.
I think you've done it the right way.
Yeah.
For me, I did it the other way. and I felt pains the other way. So I got into property by selling my house.
Got you.
So I was in a residential house by myself, 6-figure equity, thought it was my forever home, right? 4-bed house, 7 doors down from my sister in the nicest part of the area I grew up.
Yeah.
My missus was living in Dubai at the time, and she was coming home soon. And she thought she was coming home to someone that's been in a solid job for 14 years with share options in the business, with a 4-bedroom house ready for kids.
Yeah.
And by the time she moved back, I'd sold it all, bought a 2-bedroom flat, and invested everything into property.
Got you.
But it took me 2.5, 3 years to realize that property development as your full-time business is so difficult to cash flow and to actually make a living from, because you can't keep the lights on, because your bank balance is going one way for 9 months, and then hopefully you get a nice liquid day, but that's not guaranteed.
100%.
And
so much unknown.
Yeah, and I felt the pain of that. I did a commercial to residential, literally took more or less a year to the day, and I lost $4,000. The $4,000 isn't the issue. The issue is I didn't take a salary all year, and then lost $4,000.
Yeah, 100%.
So I absolutely think you've done the right thing.
See, it's a difficult one from my perspective, because, for example, I've got someone that I'd like to say is a very close friend of mine. He's much older than me. He's been investing for, I want to say, past 30, 40 years. And one thing he said to me was one of his regrets, don't get me wrong, he's achieved incredible things now. One of his biggest regrets was investing too heavily in the early days, because like you just said, he tied up a load of capital, and it hit a point where he was stuck, and he had to explore other avenues to generate an income because all of his money was tied up. And as a business owner, I know you'd appreciate cash flow is everything.
Yeah.
And for me, I've always tried to focus on cash flow. But then I look at a lot of the flip opportunities. Like, for example, December last year, last deal I sold before Christmas was a below market value property where it was 170 grand below market value. That's something where we should have took that on, at least as a flip. It would have tied up money for a little bit, but that would have given us a nice injection of cash on a refinance. So if we just flipped it. So I look at opportunities like that and I think, should have been a little bit more aggressive, bits like that. But again, like I say, the relationships that we built with our clients, the level of service that we've been able to provide to them alongside the value we've been able to provide to them, they'll be people that we'll be working with over the next 10, 15 years. So for like that, let's say 100 grand profit isn't as valuable as that lifetime relationship where we could potentially go into projects with that client moving forward, if that makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense. I think there's a thing in the property industry because of the trading courses and stuff that's out there, which we won't go into, but that's a can of worms, isn't it? Jesus. I will ask you though, you came through the Samuel Lead stuff.
So I didn't know. Charlotte joined it. Okay. So when we started the business, I was working in insurance, Charlotte was in a law firm, and I'd come across Samuel and Satch Hussain. I was watching a load of guys. One of my biggest inspirations, Manny Koshbin from the States. I was watching a load of different guys. And I remember I showed Charlotte one of Samuel's videos amongst a load of others. And she was like, if we're going to do this, like, we might as well commit to something to educate ourselves. And she's come from quite an aggressive educational background, come from a law background and so on as for me. Like I said earlier, for me, education just wasn't my strong point. So she joined the academy, but we just massively leveraged the network. And I think it did help us. It did help us in early stages, and we just tried to build up on our own.
So you found it useful if anyone was, when you hear people talk about the industry, what are your initial feelings knowing that you and Charlotte have come through that?
I think when it comes to courses, it's a tough one, because I think the way they're positioned is marketing. So the way they're marketed, it's very much, and this is for everyone that sells a course, in my opinion, it's kind of, join this course and your life will change. It's never that simple. It's like we was talking about outside, when we talk about manifestation, you can manifest all you want, but what do your actions look like off the back of that? And I feel like if you're joining a course, there's clearly valuable information there, because if not, they wouldn't have the clientele that they've got to be able to be a fully running business off the back of operating courses. So the information's there, but what work are you willing to put in? For example, with me and Charlotte, we just walked out of our jobs. We didn't have a clue what we was doing. We had security. We left that security to chase a dream. So we took the most basic information that we got from the courses and just went 110 miles per hour. It was left our job. Next day was in my office that I had from my other business every day, all day, taking the information and just going all in. And I think if you put the work in off the back of the information that you're gaining, you'll see the results. Whereas we see a lot of people that go through these courses, 12 months down the line, they've done absolutely nothing. And it's because they're not actually committed to the actual change, if that makes sense.
No, I totally agree with that. And yeah, I agree with what you said there. That it is my, like this is going to be on camera now, so I'm going to have to, it is what it is now, isn't it? But I did the Samuel Leeds course during COVID. It was the online £99 crash course. It was, and I wouldn't have got into property without it. I saw 100%. Him on YouTube. He's the first person I saw, and I think the stuff he teaches is the same stuff that everyone else teaches. He seems to be good. I don't know it, but he seems to be good at it. I know people will run down a rabbit hole of Company's House and stuff. I've never done that, so I don't actually know. Never fact checked. But
I think the thing for me is, I think people will say what they want to say. From our personal experiences, if we're talking about Samuel and himself, he's someone that has always shown up for us from the very beginning. Yeah. So when we joined the academy, we weren't going to the daily courses and so on. We did a few of them, but for us, it was, like I said, you had the online sections and then the in-person. We did a few of the online bits and we just went full force. And I remember it was 3 months down the line. I think no one was actually seeing us at the events, but they're seeing us making traction. And he's someone that reached out to us and was like, hold on, we can see what you guys are doing. Like, let's have a conversation. And once he'd realized what we'd done off the back of the information that we'd learned, gave us opportunity, winners on a Wednesday, we leveraged it. So even then I look at where we are now, and don't get me wrong, we've achieved what we've achieved off the back of what we've done, but we wouldn't be where we are without that first step, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, like you say, it's what you make of the circumstances 100%. As well, isn't it? Like, hopefully, we were just talking about Aston before, wasn't we?
Yeah.
So I've known Aston for a few years, but I knew Aston's business partner before I knew Aston. And the reason I knew Aston's business partner, because his business partner was on Winners on Wednesday, and I watched it on YouTube. He was from Bury, which is near me in I'm live in Oldham, so it's not far. And when you see something on YouTube like that, you go, "Oh, he's near me," because you're seeing these people across the UK. So I remembered it, and then I actually went to the Champions League final to watch City v Chelsea in Porto, and I stood outside the ground and I was looking at this guy like a weirdo, like I recognise this guy, and it was him. So I went and introduced myself, and that we ended up doing a JV, and now we do all of their compliance stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's mad that, like you say, they would probably have a similar opinion to us. I don't want to put words in their mouths, but they have a similar opinion to us, where it's the circumstances and it's the leverage you can pull off that.
100%.
And yeah, everyone's gonna have the bad things to say. I take things at face value, and it's certainly added value to me. Want to go for a pint with him? Maybe not. I don't know.
Each to their own. I think it's one of those. Everyone's had their own experiences. For us, we've never had a bad experience in that sense, and we're grateful. We have to be grateful. And I think that's one thing. I think people can say what they want to say, but don't forget where you come from.
Yeah.
And for me, I know that if it weren't for certain videos that I'd seen, I probably wouldn't have took that risk to leave my job.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I'd be now. And if I look back 4 years, where I was 4 years ago in comparison to now, my life's completely changed.
Yeah.
Completely. So
you've changed as well, I bet.
Massively. I said, I did a podcast with Property by Kazi a couple of weeks ago. Sent it to a very good friend of mine who's more like a brother. And me and him don't see each other as much because we're both busy. And he watched it and he sent me the video back, and he just said, "You've changed a lot." And he's like, not in a bad way, in an incredible way. He said, you could just tell, reading, etc., etc. And he's like, who I know you as, you're still the same person, but you've elevated.
Yeah.
And for me to have that type of feedback, knowing that for me, I'm always chasing elevation, shows how much I've grown over the past few years.
It shows you've got the right circle, because I have a couple of friends that I'm fortunate my best friend runs a business, and we can, as much as we rip the shit out of each other, we can. Of course. Like, I said to him the other day, I had a bad January with, I lost a couple of staff members, and I phoned him, and all he did was take the piss out of me, and I came off the phone call feeling better.
You need it sometimes.
And all he did was just rip me. He was just laughing at me. It's like, why can't you retain staff? Like, you're a crap boss. He said worse than that, but it just made me feel better, just knowing that he's in the trenches with me as well.
I think that's the thing, it's not feeling alone. Like I've recently put out a few posts. I'm starting this like tight-knit community of business owners because it's a lonely place.
Yeah, it
and
is.
sometimes even just having those harsh conversations where someone's telling you shit, even if you're not, but it's just kind of having that moment for someone else to kind of give you some feedback, whether it is true or not.
Yeah.
To give you that moment of realization, to be able to sit back and assess your situation and just approach it from a completely different angle.
Yeah.
I think it's important, man, because it's a lonely journey.
It is. Well,
it's a lonely
so
journey.
part of the reason of setting this up, and we were talking about it outside, wasn't we, before we came on air, that it is a lonely game and you're conditioned as a business owner to not talk about your problems and not show people your problems because I think, quite frankly, most people don't understand them. They just don't get and that's no disrespect to them. Like they just don't get the challenges you're going through. People will never see that I sold my house and you quit your job. They'll look at you 4 years later and go, he had it easy. And that's just the way it is. I'm not complaining about that. But that's part of why I wanted to set this podcast up, so we could long-term create a community of people that could help and support each other and be that safe space to talk
100%.
to people, to talk to each other just about issues and share best practices, like what are you seeing working in the market.
Essential. Yeah,
and that's it's not just property. It could be anything. It could be recruitment, taxation.
Yeah.
People moving to Dubai, how do you make sure that you can leverage the tax-free system there while running a UK business? Like these types of conversations.
So many pieces to the puzzle.
Can't have that in the pub with
100%.
your friends.
And that's the thing as well. Like one thing I find is people that aren't on the same journey occasionally put you on a pedestal.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've had friends say to me, "Oh, it's easy for you because you're here." I haven't got a clue.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't got a clue. And it's one of those ones where the problems that we have to deal with as business owners, you can look at my life from the outside and think everything looks glamorous. But if you had to deal with what we have to deal with on a day to day, you'd crumble. Absolutely crumble.
That's so true.
Yeah. And I think that's why even just podcasts like this, I think it's important because people that are on that journey, even for me, I'm always looking for podcasts where I can see someone that's on a similar journey or achieve the things that I'm trying to achieve. And I can hear them talk about challenges that they've faced or how they've approached certain things. So I can look at my situation and think, okay, cool. Let me take on what they've said. Or it makes you feel like you're not alone because you can see that other people are going through similar things or have gone through similar things that you've gone through.
Mm-hmm. And you want to, for me as a person, I think you're the type of person that'll feel the same. I don't want to be the smartest person in the room.
Never. I always say this, never.
I want to be this I'm an idiot in most rooms, to be fair, but I want to be that idiot because then I'm learning from everyone else and I'm getting the most value out of everyone
100%.
because I'm learning from everyone else.
I had a meeting a couple of weeks ago with people that some of them were quite young, similar age to me, some of them were older, extremely successful. And first half of the meeting, incredible, everyone's bouncing off each other. And then two of the guys got into this really in-depth conversation. And what they were talking about, I was so out of my depth. And I was thinking, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Half of this, I haven't got a clue what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And it excited me because in that moment I realised these are the type of people I need to be around. Mm-hmm. And if they're talking about something that I haven't got a clue about, but I know there's great value behind it, I need to be in these conversations more because it's like they say, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang around with. And that's why for me now, I'm always trying to expand my network. I'm one of those guys, I'll speak to anyone. Mm-hmm. I go to Dubai often and any conversation I can have, I'll be buying fragrances and I'm pushing for conversations with other people that are buying fragrances to find out who are you, what do you do, etc. Because you never know, that one conversation could lead to a partnership or just a strong relationship, and even just being friends where we bring value to each other and you look back a year later and you've helped each other elevate. And for me, one of the big ethoses that I hold within myself and my business is grow together, win together. Mm-hmm. If you're around the right people, everyone wins. Yeah. I think that's the way it should be.
No, I agree. But it's a really good trait that you have. That's one thing that I've said to myself I need to improve on. Yeah. The things like, I was speaking to a friend at weekend, I went to David Lloyd on a guest pass. Yeah. I don't pay for David Lloyd. I went on a guest pass with a friend. And he was like, this is a gold mine for investors and stuff. And I'm like, I get it. But when I go to the gym, I don't want to speak to anyone. I want to put my headphones in. I don't want to do anything.
Sauna.
But even so, I don't want to speak to people, and because that's my time to relax. And I know that's wrong. It's a bit different now because, like I say, I used to be a bit more heavy into the property investment stuff where I needed investors, whereas now I'm probably I don't need to do that as much, but the same principle still stands as what you said. That I don't know, I might speak to someone in a sauna who owns 200 care homes. There are ideal avatars because we do their compliance. So I get it, but that's so it's a really good trait that you have. And just touching on the Dubai thing, I actually think, so we want to move to Dubai.
Yeah.
We've got plans to move. 2028 currently is in the calendar. I want to bring it to 2027. Negotiation with the missus.
Yeah.
But part of the reason being, touching on what you said there, it's the people. I feel like I'm a better person when I'm there for two reasons. One, the pool of people that you're associating with are, I'm going to generalize, are of a higher business acumen.
100%. Most definitely.
And two, there's an easy opener. What brings you to Dubai? If I said that to someone in Manchester, what brings you to Manchester? They'll say, what the fuck's it got to do with you?
Yeah.
So it just then creates this conversation. And I remember I went, not last Jan, the Jan before, for a month.
Yeah.
And I got in a lift and this guy said, I think he was on the phone, he spoke, and I recognised the accent. It was a Manchester accent. So I said, I recognise that accent. Where are you from? And he was like, he's from Moston. It was right next door to where I am. I said, what brings you to Dubai? I won't tell you his answer because it was about tax.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, fair.
Like most.
Fair, yeah.
Like most.
But basically, he was on the run.
Yeah, okay,
and he was like, do you want to go for a pint? And I was like, yeah, I don't drink, but we'll go for a water and watch football or whatever. I ended up connecting. Didn't end up investing, but the point is that he's the type of person that you could then meet.
See, and that's my thing is, I think some people have a very narrow-minded approach to networking, and it's about, if I meet this person, what can they do for me? It's not always about that.
Yeah,
and I always say, sometimes it's about just making those connections, just making new friends. And for example, when did we last go? It was November last year. And we went to a restaurant. It was a new restaurant. They've got one in London. Recently set one up in Dubai. And me and the missus, nice little date night. And the owner came by, had a conversation with us, gave us a drink or two. And then there was a group of lads next to us, big chains and so on. I was thinking, okay, interesting. And then when they left, a new group of older guys came, sat next to us. And before they've even sat down, they started talking to us. And asking us again, what brings you to Dubai, et cetera, et cetera. And we ended up, me and the missus were about to leave. We ended up sitting there for another 2 hours, just speaking to these four guys. One of them lives there. The other one's just got his residency. The other one's had his residency for about a year. And there's another one, it's his first time. So we're having an incredible conversation. They're all in tech and so on. And they were like, oh, what are you doing tomorrow? And we were just there for work. So we had a few work bits to do, but in the evenings, we're not doing anything. Straight away, he said, take my number and let's go out tomorrow. Next morning, he's called me and we've met up with them. We've gone out to some beach club, not my type of vibe, but we've gone out to this beach club. And they're actually going to help us with a few business things I won't get into now, but one of them is actually going to help us with some of our business stuff because we want to establish some form of business over in Dubai, but I think with our current business model, we're trying to work out what the most efficient route is. But just off the back of being at dinner and them just being welcoming and opening to having a conversation, we've now built a relationship where since November, I've been speaking to this guy nearly every day. And there's scope to create more opportunity with them. That would never have happened in Birmingham. Would never have happened in
I agree.
In Liverpool. Like it's one of those things where people are so open to helping each other, and I think they understand that thing I said earlier: grow together, win together. You can do a lot more with the right people than you can do on your own.
And I think you're spot on. And by the way, I'm jealous of that person that's in Dubai for the first time. I'm gutted I'll never get to experience Dubai for the first time again.
When we went for dinner the next day, you could see in his face he was having a time of his life.
Yeah. It's amazing. At that beach club, I bet he was.
100%.
Like I've got a couple of friends who they take the piss out of me because I love to go so much because they think it's a bit... It's Instagram, it's glamour, it's all... I agree. You can do that, right?
I think it depends on what are you doing when you're there. What's your experience? For me personally, if I go there for pleasure, I went there for my birthday last year, hated it.
Really?
Absolutely hated it. But when I'm there for work, absolutely love the place.
I love it for both. Like,
really?
Yeah.
You know what it is? I'm a nature guy. I live in the countryside.
Right.
So for me, it's that I absolutely love the countryside. Whereas in Dubai, it's a bit too... What's the best way to put it? You don't have that countryside element, that crisp air and so on. But I think just the business side of things, I absolutely love it. For me, the perfect balance is doing a load of business over there for 6 months to 8 months to the year and then coming back to the countryside and just enjoying time with the farm animals.
I just love the lights, me. I love the lights. And people talk about there's no culture in Dubai. It's all new, and I think that is nonsense. But I think just in terms of like the architecture and the culture, people talk about, it's all new and modern. I'm like, well, I like modern. Like my perfect idea of a perfect house is a glass box. Yeah. Like I want a glass box, concrete floors, nothing out on the sides. Like proper psycho's house. That's what I like.
No grass in the back or anything.
No, I want a pool, maybe some AstroTurf with football nets for the kids. Yeah, that's the type. That's my perfect house.
I get it.
And for me, Dubai just aligns with that. Yeah. But going back to what we were saying about just people being friendlier, I met a guy in the pool last time I was there. And similar to that, we don't speak every day, but we probably speak every month. Yeah. Shout out Ruslan if he's ever watching this. He's maybe I need to get him on the podcast. He runs a food distribution company in London. But they're the type of people that you associate with. And I went to a networking event and I was speaking to this Scouse guy, and he was like, he runs a facilities management company in the UK. Got speaking to, and I was like, so what are you going to turn over this year? And he was like, we'll probably touch about 20 million this year. And I'm like, these are the people I need to be around. Like, you know what I mean?
100%. And that's the thing with people like that as well. For me, it's just about the knowledge.
Yeah.
Like we was in Greece last year. Was it last year? No, year before, 2024. And I don't know if he'd want me to say his name, so I'm not going to expose, but he's part of a business where it's him and someone else. And he's kind of on the back lines. He's one of those ones where if you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't. Mm-hmm. And saw him in the hotel, started speaking to him. And again, another one. Stayed in touch since. And his business, he's got multiple businesses doing extremely well. And he's someone where he said to me when we first met, anything you need, let me know. More than happy to help. And there's times I've reached out to him and just said, listen, I'm struggling with this. Any chance you'd be open to having a conversation? Just drove from London, come to the office, sat down with me in the office, given me 2 hours of his time just to help me with what I'm going through within the business. And that in itself is so valuable.
How much is his hourly rate if he was to charge you?
I don't know. All that knowledge. Put it like this, last time we sat down, he said, just so you know, this session's free. But next time we go for dinner, it's on you. So I don't know where he's going to pick, but we'll find out.
Touching on what you said before about just changing, what do you think's the key attribute that you've changed personally that's been a contributor to your success and your growth?
Oh, that's a good question, that is.
Just made it up.
That's a tough one. I think there's a lot that's changed. I think one thing I have to give props to my partner. I've been through a lot in life, and I feel like I was in a dark cloud for a very long time. But I've always been very optimistic. So even going through a lot of things I've gone through in my head, I've always been, I'm going there. And I've always kind of held on to that. But I think she's helped me come out of the darkness, if that makes sense.
Totally.
So I think now, like, for example, when we first started the business, like I said earlier, I hate social media. And I think in the early days, you could tell. People used to always say, does he ever smile? We'll never say that. Oh, people meet me in person. Oh, you do smile. And of course, if you know me in person, you know that I smile. But I think now I've made more of an effort to show more of who I am, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And just been more, like I said, I've always been open-minded, but having more of a kind of a light to the way I present myself, if that makes sense. I think that's helped me approach so many different situations with a much better mindset, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So even just after talking to people, like before I was very much, I'm in my own bubble. Leave me alone, don't talk to me. I just
like me in the gym.
Space. But yeah, exactly. Whereas now, like for example, like I go to David Lloyd, and for me that was an investment in not only myself, but into my future.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those ones where when I'm in a session, I got my headphones on, I don't want to talk to anyone. But where there's an opportunity, I'll speak to everyone I possibly can. And there's been situations where I've been in the sauna, for example. Usually it would have been a case of head down, leave me alone, don't talk to me. Whereas now very much, if I can see there's an opportunity to have a conversation, I'll poke the conversation. And if I can tell they don't want to talk, I'll leave them alone. And just off the back of that, I remember I met a guy a year and a half ago in the sauna, started talking about what we both do, both in property. He specialises with distressed properties. Since then, we've probably done, 75 grand worth of business together in fees. Mm-hmm. That would never have happened if I didn't poke the conversation.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And I think that's come from me just trying to have more of an extroverted type of approach to the way I carry myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, mate. I need to get better at that, definitely.
I think it's, you know what it is? I've got, again, it comes from the things I've been through in life. I've got quite a dark ethos in regards to how I make certain decisions. And I ask myself...
What, everything's worst case? Everything's Armageddon?
Yeah. So, and I always ask myself, am I going to die? And if the answer is no, fuck it. Just go for it. And worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. I fail. I fall flat on my face. Get back up and we try again. So even when it comes to having a conversation, if I see you out on the street and I'm like, how you doing, mate? You're all right. Love the trousers. You're even going to look at me and be like, what's this geezer doing? Or you'll engage in the conversation and we might spend 5-10 minutes having a conversation. It might lead nowhere. But even just off the back of that, you might enjoy that conversation and the rest of your day might feel lighter because you've really enjoyed that interaction we've had. I'm not going to lose anything from that interaction. So for me, it's just having that approach of just go for it.
Yeah.
And there's so much opportunities I've opened up off the back of that. Like I play golf often. And every Saturday I have golf lessons with my golf coach. And the golf club that I go to, one of the days I've walked in and I can hear the owner talking. I didn't know who was the owner at the time. And I can hear him talking to someone about properties that is developing in Jewry Quarter. My office is in Jewry Quarter. So straight away I've just said to him, do you want any more? And then that's opened up a conversation of what I do, what he does. Those properties that he's developing, we then ended up tenanting for him, all of them. Wouldn't have happened without just jumping in the conversation. So
yeah, no, that's good. And just as a summary of your business, what does your business actually do? So
we are a property investment agency where in essence we source opportunities for clients, but it's not your traditional, it sounds bad. I don't like the phrase deal sources or sourcing. I think the industry has a very bad rep because there's a lot of people that are just cowboys. For us, it's about being a trusted partner. So in essence, let's say you're an investor or a seller. You come to us and say, this is what I'm looking for, whether it's from an investment perspective or an exit perspective. We will then look at what we can put in place to help you achieve what you're looking for. So if you're looking for below market value properties where you can pull out at least a minimum 20 grand profit per property, we will then look at what your long-term goal is, what your short-term goal is, and we will source the investments that align with what you're trying to achieve. And that'll be a full end-to-end process. So if you need the property sourced, you need the finance, you need legal team, you need builders, you need an agent in place for the exit, we'll put it all in place for you. In essence, we're helping people build generational wealth through property.
Nice. It's great tagline. So where do you want the business to go?
There's many angles. One thing I've come to realize, I need to just simplify things. But for me, the main goal is to go into a global investment agency. I think a big part of what we do is having the right ecosystem. And there's a lot of value in what we do. And just off the relationships we have with our clients, there's a lot of clients that hold a great value in what we do. So for me, it's about growing into that position where, regardless of where you are in the world, you come to us with your investment goals and we can, in essence, help make it happen. Whether you're based in Switzerland and you're looking to invest in Dubai, for example, I want us to have the infrastructure in place to where we can make that happen for you.
Nice. That's unique as well.
Yeah.
I like that. And part of the podcast is, as I mentioned before, kind of being a community that can support each other during challenges, etc. Yeah. What do you think are the kind of biggest challenges that you've got going on in your business at the moment that you haven't yet solved that we could maybe have a little gas about?
I love this. Now we're talking.
He gets out a list of all the challenges he's got.
Read it off. Okay. So big thing for me is you don't know what you don't know. And this is my first business that's got to a stage where we've got a team and decent revenue and so on. And I think the biggest challenge for me is the systems and operations, the processes, which is imperative. Mm-hmm. That's the core foundation of the business. And with what we've done over the past, say, 4 years has helped us get to this stage. And I feel like the processes that we have in place over the past 4 years are not what's going to work for us to get to the next 4 years, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's understanding the best ways to optimize the way we are operating. the best ways to scale with clarity, if that makes sense. And I think when you've got that experience of scaling other businesses, it's easy to identify what works, what doesn't work, and what to look out for.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're a startup, navigating what works and what doesn't work, it's a load of trial and error.
Yeah, it is. Just constant pivots.
100%. It's like you said earlier, it's being a business owner is putting out fires all the time. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is I think what we've built foundation-wise from a brand, presence, etc., is extremely solid. But I think the processes behind the way we operate, it is good, but for us to get to that global presence, it takes a lot more. Even just like automating certain processes, and even just quality of the team. The team's great, but then again, and I don't want my team to feel bad when I say this, but I think when you look at, for example, let's say someone's trying to build £1 billion company, what does a £1 billion company look like? What do their processes look like? What does their infrastructure look like? And for me, it's trying to understand what that looks like so that we have more clarity on what the next 4 or 5 years look like, if that makes sense. But if that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, let's chat it out. So what systems and processes do you want to automate? And are you currently using any kind of AI or anything to help automate?
Yeah.
Because this is my bag.
Yeah.
I love the whole AI stuff. I don't know how in the weeds you are with it, but I absolutely love it.
It's something I'm navigating. Because there's so much, and one thing I'm always
there's so many tools out there.
On LinkedIn every day of we provide this AI solution and so on, and just because you say
automation experts and stuff. And by the way, there is merit in that, but it's finding the right person. I appreciate that. I don't like those cold LinkedIn messages either.
And that's the thing. I think for me, from number one is the onboarding process. My team put a lot of work and energy into the client relation side of things, but I think it can take a lot of time away from the core of what we're doing, if that makes sense. If we're looking for investments, but then we're spending 6 hours of a day nurturing relationships, where can we automate that process to where the team, on the sourcing team, let's for example, can solely focus on the relationships they're building and the assets that they're trying to bring into the business outside of nurturing the relationships with the clients. But then one thing I'm always conscious of is if you take away that human element, it takes away the relationship side of things.
I agree. And I think with the whole AI thing, I think it's going to become unusual to be personable. And it's something that I'm very conscious of in my business as well. And the way we've navigated that is we've automated stuff via Zapier. And the CRM we use has native automations where we can trigger emails, trigger reminders. That's probably one of the biggest ones for us, 100%. Just like appointment reminders, because obviously abortive visits are just dead cost to us. So that's really helped. Have you had a look at like agent software that can do, I guess, initial data gathering, I guess?
That's something I've got a cousin who's, what does he do? I see his screens and it's insane. He does a lot of coding and so on, like he builds softwares and so on. It's something that me and him have been talking about because, for example, like we've got so much data in certain areas, but then we're manually going through it. Yeah. And it's a tedious process. Yeah. And a big thing for me is because we get such great access, it's looking at, okay, if we have, let's say we've got a spreadsheet of 1 million data entries, for example. How can we automate that process to go through that and then align it with the clients that we have in the system? Yeah. If that makes sense. Whereas now it's a case where, again, we lean on relationships a lot. But if we have, let's say, through one of our strategic partners, we have 500 properties that come through, we're manually going through each individual property and then matching that up with the ideal client. Because if we can automate that process to where the system automatically matches the opportunities with the clients, and then all it takes for us to pick up the phone and go through the details with them, it makes a massive difference.
It sounds like your cousin who's a coder could help with this anyway, and people are probably going to get bored of me talking about this, but because I've said it on a couple of other podcasts, because I'm using it myself. Replit or Lovable.
Interesting.
You have heard of them? No. So basically Replit and Lovable are like software apps where you can design an app or a website via prompts. So you don't need to understand code. You just tell it what you want as the like user interface, and it will deliver it for you. And then all you do is iterate it. You just test it and go, no, I don't like that. Put that there. Make sure I can have a CSV upload, that type of stuff. And it does it for you and it fixes the bugs for you. So before we went live, I was talking about this SaaS product that we're building.
Yeah.
I built MVP for $66
You're joking.
on Replit. I literally just sat there watching Super Sunday, just prompted it, and it just did it for me. I'll show you later.
Yeah, please.
But something like that, because you can make something that's super bespoke to you.
Yeah.
And what I see a lot of people in the industry doing, and just business owners in general, they're swamped with CRM costs. I don't know what CRM you're using.
Yeah, we're using Monday.com.
So I'm moving away from Monday because I think it's clunky. But
it is a bit. It works really well, but I think once you get to a certain point, I
just think it's not user friendly. Like, it just bugs and it winds me up. But cost wise, I don't know what you're paying. I think we pay $250 at the moment a month. But as soon as we go one more user, it's $500 a month.
And even that's one thing that drives me nuts with it. It's not, for example, one individual user. You have to go up by 5. We don't need the additional 5.
Yeah.
I think we're paying, around 200, something along those lines.
Sounds like probably on the same level as it's like 249 or something.
But even then,
like
there's so much that I need from it that it just doesn't provide me, and the limitations on how much automations you can do and what automations you can use. And we've looked at building something bespoke, but then the cost to build out a bespoke.
So look at Replit. So that's what a lot of people are doing. They literally building stuff bespoke for their business. And then instead of paying the $250 a month, you're then just paying like the Replit holding cost, which is like $25 a month or whatever it is once you've built the thing.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. But have a look at that. It's such a good piece of software. Yeah. I think we're running out of time. So just something you said before about an exercise that I've done in my business that might benefit you is, you mentioned about this global domination and getting the structure to the next level. Yeah. I don't know if you've done this exercise yet, but I've literally created my org chart for what I want to be when I exit the business, or in 5 years' time, or whatever that is. And that might be me as chairman, or whatever my title is. Yeah. Then you might have an FD, you might have an MD, you might have a financial control, whatever that structure is in the business to get to 10 mil of rev. I do that for 5 years, and then I do that for 1 year. So then, and that's up on my wall next to my desk. Because when I get to the point where it's natural, when you're a business owner, you're hiring someone, you go, that's another salary, that's another $2,500 a month going out, $3,000, whatever it is. But having that chart next to me, whenever I have those thoughts, I look at it and I go, to get to that level, I need to do this. Yeah. If I don't do this now, I'm not getting to that level that I promised myself I'll get to. And it just kind of kicks you into gear and goes, listen, put your big boy pants on and deal with it. Yeah. So that might be a really useful exercise for you to do.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I like that.
So we're getting to the end. So we end with some quick fire questions.
Let's go.
So what was one hire in your business that you think made the biggest difference?
This one hurts because they're leaving now.
Okay.
They've been offered a job that pays more and I just can't compete. Yeah. But this was more, we've hired a lot on the back of culture fit.
Yeah.
And this hire was more, the most corporate hire that we'd made. They come from a recruitment background. They understand kind of the business, whereas a lot of employees don't understand the business. But they kind of came in and they had a very similar mindset to me. They started on sourcing. Then I realized they were great at sales. So I took them off sourcing, put them on sales. And then they went to a networking event, opened up a new partnership for us. And they got that by saying, I'm head of partnerships, which they weren't. But then I thought, okay, if that's something you're good at, then let's do it. And I'm very big on empowering people. So I said, forget sourcing, forget sales. Let's do it, head of partnerships. And they went to head of partnerships, created some great partnerships for us, which then brought in a couple $100,000 in revenue over a few months. And I think that helped off the back of them understanding what the business needed. Mm-hmm. They never just had the employee mindset. They actually looked at it from a bit more of a director's perspective.
Yeah.
I think that helped us 100%. And with where I want to take the business, that allowed us to take that transition to the next stage, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. No, that's so. I said before, I lost a couple of members of staff in January. I think the thing I decided to do after that was to incorporate, like these personality quizzes.
Yeah.
On recruitment.
I've looked into that, yeah.
Because I have my isms, right?
Yeah.
And I am intense because I constantly feel like I'm running out of time.
So
I feel like I started late and I know I haven't in the grand scheme of things. We talked about this last time, didn't we, Jacob? The owner of AliExpress was 50 when he created AliExpress. Oh, it was AliExpress, yeah. I'm the KFC guy, yeah. So I know in the grand scheme of things, 28 when I started, but I'm constantly feeling like I'm running out of time.
I feel like that, and I'm 27 next week.
Yeah.
And it's just, I feel like I'm running out of time.
Yeah. So that's why I'm so intense. But not only are people trying to learn a new business, they're trying to learn you and your isms. And I think having the right person that complements whatever my colour I am on my thing, having someone that complements that is really useful. So we're going to start using that in the recruitment process moving forward. And someone said to me, well, what if they don't want to do it? Well, if that's a barrier to entry for them joining us, then they're not the right person for us. Yeah. So, what's your chatbot of choice?
Chatbot of choice?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Your large language model. So your ChatGPT, Gemini.
I use ChatGPT.
Yeah. You never explored any of the others?
I haven't, I think I started on chat and it's just done absolute wonders for me. Paid version. And we've done some great things together.
Have a look at some of the others.
What ones would you suggest?
So I think that each one has its own benefit. Okay. So I use Gemini as like my FD. I use it to review data, review accounts, build financial spreadsheets, that type of stuff. I think ChatGPT is very good as a generalist, asking questions on the go, using the voice tool. I think that ChatGPT is just too agreeable. I don't want it to agree to me.
I challenge it. I challenge it so much.
I've said to it, unbiased, give me your opinion. It's, that's great. Yeah, I'll do that.
I think mine's different. I bully mine a little bit. I shouldn't say this because AI's going to come back to get me in a couple of years. But I'm quite, this sounds bad, I'm quite aggressive with mine in the sense that I've built it out to really understand the way I like to do things. So even if I ask it now, what's your opinion of me, let's just say, it will pull out some data that's quite terrifying.
Yeah.
But I've pushed it away from that agreeable approach, if that makes sense. It drives me nuts. Like if I ask its opinion on something. Yeah,
I used Claude a couple of years ago and I thought Claude was amazing for feedback of stuff. The thing I didn't like about it is it doesn't, I don't know if it does now, I'm going to re-explore it, but it didn't retain memory within different chats. So it would retain the memory of your chat, but then if you went to a different chat and said, tell me about that thing I told you in the other chat, it wouldn't remember. And that really frustrated me. Whereas on ChatGPT, one of the best things is you just start it and go, tell me everything you know about me. And it just does it. So that's that. Grok is apparently really good. Obviously, it's the Elon thing it's the most dynamic. I probably need to explore it a little bit more.
Yeah, I've explored it a little bit, but not too much. I've had a few experiences with it and it's been a bit clunky from my experiences, but it's all evolving. Within the next week, it would have evolved so much more.
Well, there's something called OpenClaw that's on my list to look at this week. And I might butcher the description, but it basically embeds into your PC and learns and understands everything you're doing on your PC, not just what you're doing within your chatbot. Do you know what I mean?
That terrifies me.
So there was a use case, the guy who created it, and I've not fact checked this, I heard it on another podcast, but the guy who created it, I can't remember exactly why he wanted, there was a trigger for something. And OpenClaw ended up finding his alarm time, phoning him, found his number online somewhere, phoned him after his alarm had gone off, and it's a voice saying, I've found this bug. Do you want me to fix it? Yes. And then it would fix it. Like, that's scary, but amazing at the same time.
I don't know. It sounds incredible.
Yeah.
But then it makes me wonder, at what point do we lose control?
Yeah.
See, I'm going on a tangent. But yeah, that sounds great, but terrifying.
Yeah. Would you have a chip in your brain?
No chance.
Would you not?
No chance.
I would. I'd have the Neuralink.
You know what it is? Have you ever watched Divergent?
No.
Okay, watch Divergent. There's a party that I can't remember which one it is, but they put like a chip, or they shoot them with this thing. It's like a chip in their brain. And in essence, they just control them. So they're doing what they're doing without going into it, and they're not in control. And only the divergence are people that aren't controlled by this chip. So that's what terrifies me, because again, I'm going to conspiracies now. But my thing is, who's in control?
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Elon. I trust Elon.
See, I don't know, man. I don't trust anyone. But yeah, I don't know. I think we'll have to see.
The thing I'd love to get to a point where, and you mentioned it before, you have so much going on in your brain that I think about stuff. I was up at 4 a.m. this morning thinking about stuff. I'd love to just be able to think about it and it's done.
Yeah.
Like send Shy an email about this 100%. Thing. This is what I want it to say. Send.
I think the only way I would do it is, have you ever watched Limitless?
Yes. Great.
Okay.
Film.
So, for example, without the side effects.
Yeah.
If there was something like that where I could, in essence, unlock my full potential.
Yeah. That'd be so cool.
Yeah. But then it's like, what's the point? There's no challenge, if that makes sense. Like, I think one of the beauties of...
I think it'll just wear off the novelty.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's like with those people that, it's like they say, you get to that point where you've achieved everything that you want to achieve, and then it's that what now?
It's family though, like for me. Like
same.
Have you got a young family yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then it's that thing of, there's no more chase. If you know that your ability is limitless.
But then I think it pivots, doesn't it? Your ability is then looking after your kids, making sure they're happy and stuff. 100%, I think that's what I'm telling myself. Anyway, once I've chased my dreams and I've got what I want financially, then we can support.
Then they're at school and I'm sat there thinking, oh, what do I do? But yeah, no, I think if it was a limitless type of thing, I'd probably consider.
Okay, cool. Final question. So for some reason, this is my favourite question. I don't know why. What's your coffee shop of choice?
Ooh. Coffee shop of choice. It's a bit boring.
This has got the longest thought out of you the whole time.
You know what it is? I don't go to coffee shops often.
Do you not?
No, I don't. This is going to sound so boring, but Pret.
Pret? I don't think we've had a Pret yet.
Yeah, I enjoy a Pret.
I don't think that's boring though.
Yeah,
I think anything that's a bit posh.
I'll take it.
Yeah, we've had...
I'll take it.
What have we had? Oh, we've had a Gales, haven't we? Aston likes his Gales.
Yeah.
It's a Costa, I think.
Mine's Costa.
Terrible.
Mine's Costa. I've got a new one actually. And I got it from the train station in Liverpool. Upper Crust.
Where's that?
Upper Crust. You find them in like train stations, don't you? You don't see them anywhere else but train stations.
You know what? There's a place in Birmingham. It's called Minima. It's a furniture shop.
What?
But they've got like a bistro inside. Incredible.
Nice. I love those little ones.
So if you're ever in Birmingham, go to Minima.
There's a little if one of my favourite coffees, but no one would know. It's what's it called? Petal Bloom. It is just around the corner from my house. It's like it's just a florist that does coffee. But the coffee's mint. I need to go in and go, what coffee are you using? I'll get a machine.
It's always the low-key spots.
Yeah.
It's always.
Anyway, thank you so much. I think we ran over a little bit because we are just gassing for so long. Yeah. But before you leave, why don't you tell the followers how you can help and where to follow you if they want to
get property management. So if you're looking to sell a property, build a portfolio, reach out to the team. We're High Living Estates Ltd on Instagram, highlivingestates.com. LinkedIn, Shyheim Prince, business partner, Charlotte Busby. You'll find us. YouTube, High Living Estates, we're everywhere. But we love to help. We're all about growing with people. So if you value relationships and value growing with people, then let's have a chat.
Nice one, Shy. Been great having you.
Pleasure. Appreciate it.
If you died tomorrow, could your family look after your portfolio? And where I was with my portfolio, the answer was a resounding no. There was too much going on. There was too many moving parts. There was dealing with builders when we're doing a BRR or whatever. And I didn't want to leave my family with that burden. I wanted to really simplify it, put everything on 5-year leases. Don't bother me. And that's my personal strategy. Like, you might want to put the time and effort into BRRs, but if you are going to do it, my advice is